Watch any tour player and they make the driver swing look so easy. It looks so effortless, yet they're swinging the club so quickly and hitting the golf ball so far, with what seems to look like a smooth, controlled golf swing. It's that kind of power we all dream of having. But when most golfers try to swing faster, it all falls apart. Timing goes, balance is lost, and the strike suffers because of this. So in this video, I'm going to be covering the 2 key moves that allow pros to generate club head speed and how you can add them into your own golf swing. If you master these 2 moves, not only will you be able to hit the golf ball further, but you'll feel more in control with your driver swing doing this. Now, when we take a look at any tour player, once they get to the very top of their golf swing, they're able to obviously get a huge amount of turn, huge amount of load as they make their way into the top of the backswing. Now, what they do in transition is the key, the 2 keys. In the transition, you'll watch them start to use what we call a lot of the ground. You may have heard that phrase from one of your friends or another golf coach or tour professional, where if you use the ground, you will be able to add more speed into your golf swing. So what do they mean by this? Well, for every force acting on a stationary object, there is always an equal and opposite force taking place. So the force that we are acting upon is the ground. Our golf swing and our feet are the only connection between the ground and our golf swing. So when we use the ground, what they mean by this is the more pressure we can apply into the ground, the more force, the more speed, the more power we can generate as we make our way through that downswing. And when you take a look at these 2 tour players here, 2 great examples, Rory McIlroy and also Tiger Woods, you'll watch them have that ever so slight little squat move, that little pressure, adding that pressure into the ground before they start to wind through the golf shot and hit the golf ball. This is that initiation of that transition from backswing to downswing. That's where they start to apply a lot of force, a lot of power to generate that club head speed. The second thing they do so well is after that, just after that, what do you notice about their lead hip? When you take a look at their lead hip as they make their way from this point, from the start of the downswing, as soon as he gets to the top of his golf swing, he gets that little squat move. But as he's doing this, very shortly afterwards, the left hip starts to rotate round. That left hip movement is allowing him to get an efficient swing sequence. If the swing sequence can start correctly and finish correctly, that's going to make you a way more consistent driver of the golf ball. Now let's take a look at those 2 moves. So kicking things off with the first one, how we implement that squatting sensation, adding that pressure into the ground to start that transition of the downswing. So I'm just going to simply take my club away for now, and if you are watching this on the big screen, feel free to stand up with me and give this a try. All I want you to do is place your hands either side of your shoulders like this here. Just ensure you've got a nice wide stance, a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. As you make your way into the backswing, you're just going to see if you can twist as much as you can, just simply moving up to the top of the golf swing. Try not to allow for any shift taking place either side. Just see if you can allow the body to rotate round on its axis here rather than shifting off the golf ball, staying on the swing center as we rotate into that backswing. So once you've got yourself set into that backswing position, what we want to do from here is allow simply for us to bend our knees. When we bend our knees purposely, what we'll be able to feel is the pressure moving down, the pressure and the weight moving down into our feet more. So as we get this turn and then we squat down simply and we hold this position and dip a good around 5 inches in height, doing this just to exaggerate that feel, you'll be able to feel a lot of pressure in both your feet. Maybe more the trail side because I've not told you to start to unwind into the downswing just yet, but adding the pressure in both, but favouring more the trail foot. I can imagine this is maybe what you feel like at the moment. If it is 50-50, absolutely fine. If it's on the lead side, you want to practice that again. Go to the top of the swing, squat down, 50-50 or more weight in the trail side is absolutely fine for this because we've rotated, it's more likely going to be in the trail side. So as we get this feeling sensation a couple of times, what I want you to do is close your eyes. Close your eyes, turn to the top, squat down like this here, and just keep going. And try and just learn how you get into those positions. What's the hips doing in the backswing? What's the shoulders doing in the backswing? What's the body doing as you make your way down? Is it staying still? Is it moving forwards? What is it doing? Well, for me here, when I'm doing this, I can feel that my body, once I get this rotation into the backswing, and then I start to squat down, everything's staying very still. Now the reason for this is because step number 2 wants to be applied afterwards. So step number 2 is all to do with firing that hip. What I want you to do is just take your hands either side again, and just see if you can turn this left hip here without moving your shoulders. The more of this you can do, the more speed and the more power you'll be able to implement from doing this second stage. If you can't do this enough or you struggle to do this at all, that's absolutely fine. Even if it's just that little bit of movement, that's still going to help you. And also the squat from stage number 1 is where the real power source comes from. The hip movement, the hip feel that I'm giving you now just allows you to get that correct swing sequence taking place as you make your way into the downswing. So we're going to do that drill again, and we're just going to make our way up to that top of the golf swing, hands either side. As we squat, everything's staying closed. I'll explain why everything's staying closed later on. But we're keeping our body nice and still as we do this squat, of course. And then as we've squatted, I want you to allow the left hip to begin to rotate round, and just see if you can keep your shoulders closed for as long as you can. And once you can feel the hips starting to pull your shoulders round, allow them to. So you can see I'm allowing my shoulders to be pulled round now from this lead hip as I rotate into the downswing here. But watch what's happening here. Because I'm rotating that hip, because I've squatted so low down, it's encouraging me to get the correct reaction during that downswing and that movement. It's encouraging me to push back up from the ground. So as I make my way up to the top of the golf swing, I'm going down, allowing that hip to move, seeing if I can keep my shoulders here for as long as I can. Once I can't, allow them to start to be dragged and pulled up and through. And that leads me into the finish position. So that move there, where we're just rotating up to the top, squatting, allowing the hip to go, shoulders follow, is all you need to add in your golf swing to be able to swing it more effortlessly, like we see the tour players do with driver, but also hit the golf ball further and more accurate. So the question is, that move, once you've rehearsed that move all in one motion a couple of times, how do you add this with the actual driver swing, or any golf swing in fact? Well, we're going to take the driver and we're going to break those 2 stages down again. We're going to go up to the top of the golf swing with the driver, or if you want to practice with any other club just to begin with, absolutely fine. But I want you just to simply get to the top of the golf swing, allow this squat as much as you did in your practices beforehand without the golf club, just to really exaggerate that feeling. And I want you, of course, to keep these shoulders still closed. Now the reason, I promise I mentioned this before, but the reason we're trying to keep our shoulders closed is simply because it delays the club's transition into that downswing. So as we're squatting, we're not exactly pulling the club down, are we? And if we were to pull the club down and allow the hip to fire early, that would usually, most likely in fact, cause the club to swing over the top. Now we don't want that. So we've got to give yourself time in the downswing to get this ever so slight squat so the club transitions on a shallower motion as opposed to an over-the-top steep motion. So that's going to really help you get that upward launch angle, attack angle with the driver and hit the golf ball nice and high. So from the top of the golf swing, I am squatting down, keeping everything nice and closed. Then I'm just getting that feeling of turning the hip, seeing if I can keep my shoulders closed. And then from here, I'm just swinging up and through, squatting, turning the hip. You'll notice that as I dip in height during my actual golf swing, it is nowhere near as exaggerated. And that all comes down to the feel versus real concept. what it feels like to you you're doing at speed isn't anywhere near as exaggerated actually. So if we're to do this pretty quick and the downswing barely takes a second, it takes a quarter of a second if that. During that quarter of a second, we're doing everything so quickly. As we begin to squat, we then already turn the hip, we then already started to push back up from the hip turning, and that's going to allow us to get that pure strike, rather than what you're already thinking, I can imagine, hitting the ground too much first. So what I would suggest you do to start off with is just simply hit a few golf shots with driver or a different golf club if that suits you, off a tee, either way, and just practice that movement, just nice and slow, just to get a feel of what should happen first, step one being the squat, and then what should happen afterwards being the hip rotation. So I'm making my way up to the top of the golf swing, just trying this in stages, nice and slow. So that one there was very, very slow, and as you can see, it didn't go very far, but when we take a look at the technique, it was really good. So what I want you to do is hit as many golf shots as you can just to get comfortable enough to get this feel right in faster golf swings. So if it takes 50 golf balls, 100 golf balls, in fact, absolutely fine. Get those reps in. Get used to doing those two movements during the golf swing and hitting the golf ball. Once you've done that, you can then start to ramp up the speed very quickly because you would have got used to the movement. So up to the top, getting that squat, allowing the hip to turn on the way through. And that was a nice high draw on that one taking place. That's worked out perfectly for this first hole here at Bandon Trails. Carry of 306, total of 320, ball speed of 170. Wasn't the best of strikes, ever so slightly out the toe. And when you try this, you may find that the off-center strikes will take place more often to begin with because you're not so used to timing this movement correctly. But once you start to practice this at full speed, hit way more golf shots, you will simply find the middle of the club way more often. So once you've had a few range sessions working on these two moves, the squat and the hip rotation on the way through, there is something else that you can add in your golf swing. If you feel like you've got more to unlock in your driver swing, you've got more power there, it's just not quite coming out and helping you hit the golf ball further. And that is all to do with how the arms should be working during the downswing and how they should be working as you hit the ball and past the golf ball as well, all the way through to the finish. Now, if you'd like to check out that video and you found this one useful, I'd highly recommend checking this one out over here. And if this has definitely helped you improve your speed and therefore distance, I'd recommend clicking that subscribe button, as there's loads more content like this coming out every single week to help you lower your scores. And feel free to comment down below to let me know what you would like to see next. Would you like to see more driver videos on how to hit the golf ball further or straighter? Or would you like me to dive into more iron play and how to improve your ball striking, or even being able to hit draws, fades, or how we hit the golf ball straighter? Comment down below and let me know what you would like to see next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in that video over there.